Now, Epstein calls Trump in this email a, quote, dog that hasn't barked. These emails were released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, and the top Democrat on that committee, Robert Garcia, is joining us now. Congressman, when did you get this information?
We actually just received all of these emails, a total of about 23,000 documents, actually a few days ago, so last week. And we've been going through, our team, of course, through all of these very carefully over the last few days. We obviously released some today. We'll be releasing additional documents likely later today. The important thing here is that we know, and we've been demanding, that Donald Trump and the DOJ release the full Epstein files. In what's been released today, which obviously is some quite serious, I think, connections between what Donald Trump may have known. There's communication between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously making some claims about Donald Trump spending significant time, hours, with possibly one of the victims. There's also disturbing emails there about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that people can read for themselves. I think what's important right now is that we want to know why Donald Trump spent the entire campaign saying that he would release the files. And now that he's in the White House, there is a massive cover-up going on. The survivors deserve the truth.
You said there are 23,000 documents as part of this latest tranche of information that you received from the Epstein estate. Are you still getting more information coming in from the estate? And are there more emails than have already been released?
There are definitely more information from the Epstein estate. We expect these 23,000 documents. We want them all released, and so there'll be more coming out later. We think more documents coming out later today, and there'll be more coming out in the future. And so our goal is to get every single document that we receive out into the public's hand. But it also takes an enormous amount of redaction. And so just redacting all of the names of the survivors and the victims takes time. And our promise to their families has been to protect, of course, protect them as well. What's important right now is if you just read the emails that came out today, it's incredibly disturbing. And these possible links between Epstein and Trump and what Trump knew and who he spent time with and what happened at Mar-a-Lago, all of this is part, we know, of what's actually in the Epstein files. And so at this moment, the Department of Justice needs to do the right thing and release the files that are under subpoena by our committee. The information that we're getting from the Epstein estate is only because Democrats fought to get that subpoena. And so we're not going to rest until we get the truth about the full files and what powerful men committed horrific acts against these women and, in some cases back then, children and girls.
These emails that were revealed today do not explicitly implicate Donald Trump in any crimes. And I think it's important to note that his name is mentioned in these emails. And it does raise questions about what he knew of Jeffrey Epstein's actions. Congressman, we're just getting a first reaction now from the White House to the release of these emails. This statement coming from the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. I'm going to read it to you in full. The Democrats selectively leaked emails to the liberal media to create a fake narrative to smear President Trump. The unnamed victim referenced in these emails is the late Virginia Giuffre, who repeatedly said President Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever and couldn't have been friendlier to her in their limited interactions. The fact remains that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club decades ago for being a creep to his female employees, including Giuffre. These stories are nothing more than bad faith efforts to distract from President Trump's historic accomplishments. And any American with common sense sees right through this hoax and clear distraction from the government opening back up again. What's your response to that?
My response is simple. Then release all the files. If the president has nothing to hide, if the press secretary right there in her comments and statement, if they have nothing to hide at the White House or the Department of Justice, then all we want is for them to release the full files. It's very clear. You can't spend your entire campaign saying you're going to do something and make a commitment to the American people and then backtrack. And so we're going to ensure, one, we always are going to protect the victims and survivors. And if they want to clear the president's name, and more importantly, also all of the other men and powerful men that may have been involved, then release the files today. That should be the response from the White House.
President Trump has said he wasn't a fan of Epstein's. He's called him a creep. He's called the push for more information about Epstein a Democratic hoax. What questions specifically do you have for the president about these emails?
Well, my questions to the president would be, first, is what was your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, did you know what was happening? He was obviously running a huge sex trafficking ring. Why are there so many cases of these connections back to Mar-a-Lago? Jeffrey Epstein himself said that Donald Trump was one of his best friends. Why would he say that? And there's so many questions to ask. And the president could right now end all of the speculation and do the right thing for the survivors by releasing the files. The president himself has said that he has done nothing wrong. Then release the files, because we know for a fact that there are many, many powerful men, some of the most powerful, wealthiest men in this country, that have done and committed harm to children and to girls and women in this country. And those women, now women, deserve justice. So it is time to end this White House cover-up and release the Epstein files today.
Today, Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva will be sworn into the House, where she will be the final vote needed on that discharge petition to compel the DOJ to release the full Epstein files. Do you think these new revelations could sway any other votes? Could there be a pile-on and overwhelming vote for releasing the documents?
Look, we hope that all Republicans would really center the survivors and the victims at this moment. What's important right now is that there are women who have talked to us now as adults who have shared that they want the files released. They want justice. They want to know what happened and what men were involved.
As the dog that hasn't barked is Trump, blank, and blank here is one of the alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. A victim spent hours at my house with him being Trump. He has never once been mentioned. Now, again, we don't have the context surrounding that, Caitlin, but this kind of language from Jeffrey Epstein himself, how often has Donald Trump, what has Donald Trump said about contact he may have had or time he may have allegedly spent with some of Epstein's alleged victims?
Yeah, and John, just to be clear, the woman, the person whose name is redacted here was redacted by the House Oversight Committee before they put this out. That has been a huge point of focus as people have demanded the release of these documents, is to be able to protect the survivors and the victims. We have not been able to independently verify who this person is. The committee is the one doing the redacting here. But obviously he is referencing someone who Jeffrey Epstein says in this email from 2011 that spent time with Donald Trump at his house. And so we've asked the White House for comment on this morning. Obviously, these are emails that predate his time in office this term. They span about 15 years, this correspondence that's being released. And Trump has denied that he knew anything about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing and the sex trafficking of young women. And he said that he wasn't aware of that at the time. And obviously, Trump himself has not been accused of any wrongdoing. It's very important that we make that clear here, John. But of course, the question has been when it comes to regards to the Justice Department and what they've released about what they know. And Adelita Grijalva is being sworn in today. She's the new House Democrat from Arizona, and she's expected to be that 218th signature. And so the pressure has been building on not just Democrats, but Republicans here in Washington to release more information about what the Justice Department has. And so looking at that email, obviously, will likely only increase that pressure to do so. And you're right, John, we don't know the context of that. But obviously you can read Jeffrey Epstein's words in and of itself and take away obviously what you will from that.
Oh yeah, it begs many questions to be asked, perhaps to the president or the White House. You've already put this to them. Much more on this ahead. Caitlin Collins,
and
thank you
say,
so
John,
much. Oh, please.
I just want to say, because obviously, you know, we're breaking this morning. We did get a comment from Michael Wolff himself on this. I reached out to him to ask for any context on these emails, for anything from him. And he said, quote, I don't quite remember the context, but he says, I was engaged then in an in-depth conversation with Epstein about his relationship with Trump, and this seems to be part of that conversation. We have not yet gotten a comment from the White House. Obviously, they were going through these emails themselves this morning, and we will let you know what they have to say about it and what the president himself has to say about it, John.
All right, all of this developing before our very eyes. Caitlin Collins breaking this for us this morning. These emails, which we haven't seen before, where Jeffrey Epstein explicitly mentions Donald Trump by name over the years in different circumstances. Caitlin, thank you very much.
I don't think you could separate this Epstein stuff from the ballroom stuff. I don't. I think the reason why he got away with it for so long is because he traveled in ballroom culture. That everyone either was doing it with him, right? Or knew, but just didn't say anything because he traveled in the ballroom crowd. He traveled in the private jet crowd. He traveled in the I Own an Island crowd. And so what these emails allege is that Trump knew what was going on. And why didn't Trump say anything? Well, again, it's possible that Trump was doing it alongside of him, but we don't have proof of that yet. But what we're quickly starting to learn is that Trump knew who Jeff was. He didn't just know Jeff Epstein. He knew Jeff Epstein. And so did a lot of these other people we have to start increasingly realize, including the ones on the list that may have been Democrats, that may have been otherwise respected people up until this moment, right? And this is what Epstein did. Through his money, through his private jet, through traveling in the ballroom crowd, through traveling in the luxury resort crowd, the Mar-a-Lago type crowds, right? He was able to launder this reputation. Oh, I'm friends with Bill Clinton. Oh, I'm friends with this famous actor. Oh, I'm friends with this scientist. I give money to the best universities and art galleries and stuff so that they can operate. And as such, I can't be a bad guy. And people were willing to look the other way because they were getting money, and he had, friends that were more trusted than him, and certainly more trusted than Trump. But this is before Trump was fully exposed for being the creepazoid he is, for his own stuff, disconnected from Epstein. So keep this in mind. These emails really demonstrate how Epstein got away with it. Because I'm not trying to bail Trump out here, but it wasn't just Trump. It was an entire culture of ballroom type people that looked the other way so they could get some money too.